Nintendo had a very busy week last week with the release of 3 big items on one day. The first item was the new Nintendo Switch Lite, which I unboxed here on the channel, and plan on doing some more videos on, doing a full review, doing my thoughts on transferring saves between 2 separate Switch, and doing an accessories video. They also released Untitled Goose Game, which is a really cool, really weird indie gem on the Switch now, and I'm a big fan of it. I'll also be doing a review on that game tomorrow, in fact, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're interested in seeing that review here or any of the previous Switch stuff I just mentioned. But the big game that they released on Friday last week, along with these 2 other items, was the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. This is a full remaster of the Link's Awakening game that was originally released on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, as well as the Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console. Now, I personally loved playing this game and had a great time with it. However, there is a lot of controversy surrounding this game and whether or not this remaster is worth the full $60 price tag that Nintendo has placed on it. So today we are going to be reviewing The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening and discussing whether or not it is in fact worth this price tag. So for those of you who are like me and have never played Link's Awakening before on the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, or the Virtual Console on the 3DS, Link's Awakening is a very interesting Zelda game, and it is a treat to play. I've enjoyed every minute I've had with it. The story, without giving anything important away, starts with Link sailing the sea, getting caught up in a storm, and washing up on a nearby island. Link is then found by an island inhabitant who takes him back to her very strange village where people have chain chomps as pets. And Link then awakens, goes to the beach, retrieves his sword, is told by an owl, a talking owl, that there is a great evil threatening the island and that he must awaken a giant fish from a Yoshi's egg on top of a mountain to save the island. And Link agrees to help with all of these things and tells the talking owl, yes, I will help you, before he ever questions what were in those drugs that he'd been taking the night before. It is a bright and colorful game full of characters that don't normally belong in a Legend of Zelda game, such as Goombas, Chain Chomps, and even Kirby. So the graphical style they went for with this remaster is stunning, and I'm a big fan of all the way the characters look like little Funko Pops. I found this graphical style so nice on the eyes that I decided to pick up the Link's Awakening amiibo here. I'm such a big fan of it. This is actually the only amiibo I own. I don't own any other amiibos. I just liked the graphical style so much and I loved how cute the characters looked that I wanted to have this amiibo. So the way that this game played on the Game Boy is that each section of the island has its own separate tile and would scroll to a new tile once you got to the edge of the screen. And the dungeons in the remaster still follow this one tile at a time system. However, the open world areas of the game are all connected and it's a nice addition. Despite this being such a nice addition to the game, this game does feature some frame rate problems as a result of the graphical style. When you're exploring the open world areas in the game, there are a few noticeable frame drops where you'll drop from 60 frames per second all the way down to 30, and it occurs fairly regularly while playing in the open world parts of the game. These frame drops are not game breaking by any means. I never was hindered in the way I was playing the game. I never died as a result of it. It's a noticeable little bug, and it's just kind of disappointing to see in a game that is otherwise very beautiful. The other problem that I have specifically that I've noticed in regards to the graphical style is the blur around the edge of the screen. I am not a fan of it at all. I'm not quite sure why it's there, and I would prefer if they just gave me a settings option to turn it off. But it is not something that's so bothersome that I can't just overlook it. It's still a very beautiful game aside from these small things. Now, this is not a very difficult game at all. I personally feel the most challenging parts of the game were some of the puzzles in the later dungeons that you'll encounter, not the actual boss fights that you have in the game. Which I'm fine with personally, because I've never played this particular Zelda, and I was more than happy to just walk around and explore the open world areas and explore the dungeons, and just enjoy myself without ever getting killed constantly and getting upset and putting the game down. Instead, I was fully sucked into this world, enjoying the puzzles around me and enjoying the dungeons as well as the open world exploration, because this is a fairly large Zelda game. Maybe not on the scale of Breath of the Wild, obviously, but it is large and I did have a great time exploring this little island. However, if you are someone looking for a challenge out of this game, the harder difficulty Hero Mode is available as soon as you start the game. And in this mode, there are no open world spawned hearts, so if you break a pot or if you kill an enemy, A heart will not spawn like it normally does when you're playing a standard difficulty in Zelda. So it really adds an extra challenge to the game. The only way to heal outside of picking up a new heart container is to catch a fairy in a bottle. So it does give you that sense of challenge that you might be looking for out of this game, and you don't have to beat the game to unlock it. It is there as soon as you boot it up. So there is that option available to you. But I actually couldn't stop playing this game and ended up beating it the same weekend that it released. But to be fair, this game is not incredibly long, but I also didn't 100% it by any means. I didn't collect all of the heart containers that were available in the game, and I didn't get all the items. There were a couple items I didn't have, such as the boomerang, I know for sure off the top of my head, and there were a couple other fairy bottles that I hadn't collected. And I'm guessing the game took me about 10 to 15 hours to beat. I can't tell you for sure how long it took me because Nintendo decides that you don't need to know how long a game has been or how much time you put into a game until 10 days after you've started playing the game. I don't know why that is. Can we fix that, Nintendo, please? Yeah, I think the average playtime for most people is around that 10 to 15 hour range. However, expect it to be longer if you decide not to use any guides to make it through the game or if you plan on collecting all the items in the game. And obviously expect it to be shorter if you played this game on other systems like the Game Boy, because from what I have heard, this is a nearly one-to-one remake of the original game. So there was a new addition that was added to this remaster that has some people upset, and that is the dungeon builder feature that has been put into Link's Awakening. In Link's Awakening, there is this dude, his name is Danpei, and Game Boy versions of this game, Danpei worked in some way with the Game Boy camera accessory, but in the remaster, Danpei is the person you go to create dungeons. Now, don't get it twisted, this is not a fully fledged Super Zelda maker that we are all looking for. Rather, you create dungeons out of rooms that you have completed in dungeons throughout the story. They are literally one-to-one remakes of dungeon rooms that you will encounter in the game's dungeons. You cannot move any of the items, they just remain as they were when you played through them the first time. The only real customization that is done is where you decide to finally put a tile down when you are making a dungeon. You can also get some items from participating in this part of the game. Danpei has a number of challenges that you can complete in the Dungeon Creator mode that will reward you with heart containers, an additional bottle to catch fairies in, and if you decide to complete all of these challenges, this will definitely add to your overall completion time with the game. Now, if the dungeon builder was done right, I feel that this could have actually been a really fun part of the game. I'm not saying it needed to be as in-depth as Super Mario Maker with the grids and everything. I'm saying that they could have kept the tile system that is already in place in the game and simply added one thing to the game that would have really made this a better package. Internet connectivity. You cannot name and upload your dungeons to a list online like you can with your levels in Super Mario Maker. Instead, the only way that you can actually share your dungeons with other people, your friends, other players around, is you have to scan an amiibo into the game and save your dungeon specifically to the amiibo. And then after it's on the amiibo, you have to give it to someone else so they can download your dungeon to their file of the game. This is actually my least favorite part of this game because it takes away from something that could have been a pretty cool system and added a lot more content to the game, but rather replaced it with a real dumbed down system and a less convenient way of doing things. And I'm not sure if they did this because they wanted to meet the certain deadline and adding the online connectivity to upload dungeons and allow people to download them would have made them miss their window, or if it's because they wanted to sell more amiibos because they just re-released a lot of the Zelda amiibos and they are compatible with this game. So now let's talk about where this game is best to play, because like I stated in my Daemon X Machina review, now that the Nintendo Switch Lite is out, there are going to be people out there who only are able to play Nintendo Switch games in a handheld form, and not all games play best on a handheld system. So it is important to discuss whether or not games that are being reviewed are better on a docked system or better on a handheld system. So I started my save file for The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening on my original Nintendo Switch so I could record the footage that is playing behind me right now. And then I simply transferred my save data through the cloud over to my Nintendo Switch Lite and finished the game over there. I can honestly say that I prefer playing The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening in a handheld form because of those frame rate drops we talked about earlier. When you're playing Link's Awakening on a monitor or a TV, the frame drops are much more noticeable because it's less pixel dense. Now, I'm not saying that these frame rate drops are not a thing while playing in handheld mode. I'm just saying that they are more noticeable while you're playing on a TV or with the system docked, and they occur more frequently while the system's docked. So I'd rather play in a handheld mode where I don't have to deal with them quite as frequently. Finally, let's talk about whether or not this game is worth the $60 price tag. Ultimately, it's going to come down to who you are asking because everyone's time has a different value. for me personally, being someone who has never played this particular Zelda, yes, it is worth the price. This game looks amazing, it has a compelling story, it is full of things to discover and puzzles to complete, and even though the dungeon builder isn't much, it is creative and gives the game something that is new and fun, which can't be said for every Nintendo Switch port that has been made. Looking at you, Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. However, if you already played this game and you aren't too keen on hopping back in and spending $60 on a game you'll beat fairly quickly, just wait for a sale before picking this game up. I still think you should pick this game up because this remaster is gorgeous, as I've previously stated, but if you're just gonna fly through it and you already know what's happening, you've already played through it all, I would say wait till this goes on sale. Maybe you'll get it on sale Black Friday or something coming this holiday season. I would definitely wait if you were just gonna kind of breeze through this game. But that pretty much covers my thoughts on The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening on Nintendo Switch. It is a perfect example of a remaster done right, and it is a truly special game that I feel everyone should give a shot. Are you guys planning on picking up this game? Or if you already have, let me know your thoughts on this game in the comments below. I'm interested in hearing what everyone has to say about the graphical style, the frame rate drops, or even the dungeon builder. I just want to know what people think about this game because from what I've heard, everyone's kind of got their own opinions. I hope you all found this video to be entertaining and helpful, and if you did, be sure to like and smash the subscribe button for more videos like this in the future. I will be doing more game reviews, more game-related content in the future, so if you're interested in that, be sure to stick around. Also, at this point, there should be my social media somewhere on the screen. Be sure to check me out there if you want to be updated on all the channel information or get some additional content from time to time. But that is all I have for you guys today, so thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.